and this makes them better than better going into the season than Dallas Cowboys. This pick right here makes them better than the Dallas Cowboys. So
yeah, that's what I said.
That's exciting, man. All right, so huge show today. Huge show, Derek. A little later in the show, we're going to have the king himself, Howard Eskin, is going to join us at 2 o'clock. 2:30, Dan Klecko, my post-game partner on WIP, is going to join us. And at 1 o'clock, Todd Zalecki, MLB.com, is going to be joining us. But the big news, and this broke an hour ago, whatever it was, somewhere in that neighborhood.
Yep.
The Eagles off-season, which we didn't think was going to be like super aggressive, continues, man. They go out there and they sign James Bradberry, 1-year deal. Is probably going to get up into the $10 million range, 7.25 guaranteed, Derek, and the rest of it is in incentives that he can easily reach. But now all of a sudden, you're talking about a position that we went in extremely concerned about not all that long ago, and you have Darius Slay and James Bradberry in that defensive backfield to go with all the other moves that the Eagles have made this offseason, man. And I think the expectation level for this team in 2022, that bar has been raised in a big way.
If they all stay healthy. And that's a big if. What did I tell you and Barrett yesterday? Barrett kept saying, I don't know how the Eagles can find the money to sign one of these guys. I said, if there's anybody who can move money around and make it work, it's Howie Roseman.
Yep.
And I thought they would wait until training camp was over before they try to pick somebody off. Oh, no. Howie goes out the next day and grabs a guy who's played a high level of football for quite some time, and to complement. Now, even if they do nothing with the safety position, now that your corner position is set, your front seven is set, you can still hide deficiencies at the safety spot. Anthony Harris is not great, but not bad. You've got young kids back there. You can't, you can't have Pro Bowlers at every position, but I tell you what, you're exactly right, man. The odds for them winning the division and going deeper to the playoffs, if they stay healthy, if Jalen Hurts improves, there's a whole lot of ifs. And I know people are excited, but like I always say, pump the brakes. We're not playing games in May, June, July, and August. Let's see how they hit the ground running. The schedule is so favorable for them coming out the gate to pile up wins early. So everything is falling in place for this team right now.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. And again, I think we went into this, and one of the things we talked about, Derek, during the draft when they didn't necessarily address this position was, look, we're only in May. There's plenty of time here for Howie to make a trade, to make a signing. Could happen in camp. Well, it so happens it came down a lot earlier than that with Bradberry. And now all of a sudden, you look at the positions that they needed to shore up. Look, you still have concerns about safety. There's no doubt.
Yep.
But you look at the positions they needed to shore up. They needed to get better as a pass rushing team in general. They get Hassan Reddick. They also get, draft a guy in Jordan Davis, who in theory is going to be able to give you push and potentially get pressure on that quarterback, or at least allow the others to get the quarterback. You get Brandon Graham back. You have, Josh Sweat, hopefully continuing to develop, from what we've seen so far. You should, in theory, be much better at getting to the quarterback. Look at the linebacker position, which was a huge concern. Kaiser White, who we hardly even talk about, but they signed him from the Chargers. They bring in Kobe Dean. Hassan Reddick is going to be sort of a hybrid guy, but nonetheless, he can play a little linebacker for you. They're way better at that position than they were last year.
Oh, yeah.
And now they're light years better at corner than they were. Most of the people you talk to about Bradberry say, okay, he was in a system that wasn't necessarily conducive to him. They were a team that wasn't good. They kind of all played into it. It's a great stat that Dave Zingaro threw out there, Derek, which I thought you would enjoy, regarding Bradberry. So there's two players in since 2015 with 15 plus interceptions and 80 plus pass breakups, and those two people are Darius Slay and Bradberry. So
what else do you want?
Yeah, so you've massively upgraded a couple critical positions, and yes, you're still a little light in one, but now it's all there for Jonathan Gannon. There's no excuses. There's no, thought process of, well, he doesn't have enough, so he's got to be super conservative guy and all that. That's all out the window. We usually apply that to Jalen Hurts. How about let's apply it to Jonathan Gannon now? Because you have some of the weapons that you need.
When you let a player like Bradberry go, like the Giants did, and the first thing you want to say is, okay, what's the problem? Why are they letting him go? And maybe he just doesn't fit Brian Daboll's system. Whatever that system is, maybe he just doesn't fit the system. But you just don't let a guy walk like that unless you're clearing cap space or you identify him as somebody not fitting what you want to do, okay? There's no reports of any injuries lingering with this guy. We know he's capable of playing good quality football. This is a guy the fan base on social media and on this very show have been screaming for the Eagles to go out and sign. And so Howie, once again, listening, and obviously Howie's not just listening to social media or fan base. They sit behind closed doors. They talk. Number one, what kind of locker room guy is he? They're still very big on locker room culture, and understandably so. Mm-hmm. What kind of locker room guy is he? Next, what can he give us on the field? And obviously we know what he's capable of doing. So everything falls in place right now. Everything looks so good on paper right now. But the two biggest factors is how healthy can this team stay and how much will a quarterback improve? Now, I'm anticipating a bigger year. I'm not going to say big year. I'm saying, and the operative word is bigger year for Jalen Hurts compared to what he had in 2021. What that entails remains to be seen. I know Nick Sirianni is streamlining the offense even more so to play to his strengths, to bring out the best in him. And to what degree that's going to be effective for him and the offense in general, we're going to have to wait and see. I don't even think we're going to see a smidgen of it in preseason. The regulars like last year may not even play in preseason, so we may not see it until they hit the ground running for real. So I like everything I'm seeing about this team on paper. And I think right now where we have talked about Dallas still having a slight edge on this team in the division, I think they're neck and neck right here now. I think the only advantage they have right now is the quarterback. Dak Prescott is a good manager. Dak Prescott has a lot more game reps under his belt than Jalen Hurts does. Mm-hmm. But in terms of now personnel for personnel, even with CeeDee Lamb, okay, we got A.J. Brown. Even with that being said, they got Michael Gallup. We got Devonta Smith. Mm-hmm. Even with that being said, I think these two teams are neck and neck, and it comes down fewest turnovers. There are going to be times when you're going to have to win games in the fourth quarter. Who's going to win those games in the fourth quarter? And staying healthy is huge.
Yeah, and I think Eagles fans should be really pumped up because the team has been aggressive. All you want from your organization is to be aggressive, and I think they've been aggressive in a smart way, no question, not in a just drunken sailor throwing money kind of way. They've added pieces. Bradberry's an interesting signing because it's a 1-year deal, which you can look at a couple different ways. For him, it's a deal where if he goes out and crushes, he's going to get a multi-year deal, which means you have a player who, he's going to be very motivated, right? So that's from that standpoint. If, the trend continues where he wasn't great last year with the Giants, okay, you move on. And you're still sitting on 2 first-round picks next year, by the way. Keep that in mind.
Yep.
So you can, recalibrate and reload there. But, I'm looking at a team that's gone out and gotten A.J. Brown that's in a trade, has signed Hassan Reddick, has signed James Bradberry, has signed Kazir White, has drafted Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean.
Yep.
I'm not really sure what else you can ask for. I'd be very curious and great comments, guys. Keep it rolling, man. And we appreciate it. And smash that like button today. Just destroy it today. But, what more you can really want? I mean, short of everything being perfect, you're always going to be short a little bit in certain spots, like the safety spot. But they've gone a long way this offseason to really, I think, making themselves, as you said, they're right there neck and neck with the Cowboys. And all of a sudden you start looking at it, kind of bigger picture here, Derek, in the NFC. And you're right. I'll get to Hurts in a second. But you look at the NFC now, I think there's a couple teams could take a step backwards. The Packers could take a step backwards a little bit, depending on how that plays out, right? Tampa, okay. I mean, still good, but the rest of that division is very much up in the air. The Rams, we know how hard it is to repeat. The Cardinals fall apart late in the year. 49ers, unresolved situation at quarterback. So, I mean, that's what you're looking at here in the NFC. I think they're in any conversation, to be a team that certainly competes for a playoff spot, but maybe, goes deeper than that for sure.
No question about it. I think the Rams in Tampa Bay are still the teams to beat. Green Bay's defense is going to be very good. Their running game is going to be very good, but you just don't replace a Devontae Adams with a couple of rookies. Again, they signed Sammy Watkins, but Sammy Watkins it's been years since Sammy Watkins has had a great year. But if anybody can bring a Pro Bowl year out of a Sammy Watkins, it's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers takes average receivers and makes them into Pro Bowlers, okay? Before him, Brett Favre did the same thing. But Green Bay has some major question marks about the receiving core. That's why they spent 2 of their 3 higher picks on receivers, young receivers who can run 4.3s, 4.4s. Mm-hmm. But they have to develop. They have to get used. Aaron Rodgers to Devontae Adams on that back shoulder throw was second to none in the National Football League. That doesn't exist anymore. There were times when Aaron Rodgers would go down the field and only throw to Devontae Adams in situations. That doesn't exist anymore. So how will that affect Green Bay's overall offense? That's going to be interesting to see. Tom Brady is loaded down in Tampa with weapons. The defense is still good. The offense is going to be healthier. Chris Godwin is coming back healthier. What Mike Evans can do. They're still loaded. The running game is legit. The Rams are going to be rock solid on defense. Rams play rugged football on both sides of the ball. But you're right. Arizona, which has the talent, for some reason, fade down the stretch over the last 3 years. Who are the Arizona Cardinals? They look good from September to October, November, and all of a sudden they look like a second-tier team in December, January. And as far as that division goes now, having Amari Cooper out of the division is huge for the other teams in the division. I think this Eagles team right now can go toe-to-toe with the Dallas Cowboys. If you think about it, the Eagles have more veteran experience on defense than Dallas does. The Dallas spent their first 6 draft picks last year on defense, young players, rebuilding a defense. They played much better than they did in 2020, but they still were not a so-called shutdown defense. The offense still had to do its part. It's going to be an interesting 2022 across the board, man.
Yeah, no question. And so that leads us into what we talk about almost the entire offseason anyway, but it leads us to, what this really boils down to is the quarterback, right? I mean, this is clearly, a situation where the Eagles are showing faith in this roster, in this coach, I believe. In other words, if you felt like you were still pretty far away and you kind of got lucky last year getting in at 9-8 in a bad division, et cetera, maybe you don't go all in. I'm not saying this is completely all in. This is not trading for Devontae Adams, kind of stuff, but it's pretty close to going all in, Derek. This is being extremely aggressive via trades, via free agency, and via draft to put the best roster together here and make this defense more complete and give the quarterback more weapons. So guess what? Now it's on Jalen Hurts. Okay, now is when you have to deliver. And that's really what this is going to amount to for this team, because I feel like the other areas are now satisfactory and then some.
I agree. And, Jalen, nobody knows the pressure that comes with what we look at on paper now more so than a Jalen Hurts. And I do believe, and I've said it time and time again on this platform and other shows, I think Jalen Hurts is a young man, mature far beyond his years. He knows what's at stake here for him with the Philadelphia Eagles. They have given him the tools now on both sides of the ball, not just for him, but this team to be successful. A big part of the pressure is on him, but other players have to step up as well. Let's face it. That defense has to play as good as it looks right now. The defense has to stay healthy. I think Zach McPherson and Marcus Epps are going to get a wealth of learning experience from the likes of Darius Slay and James Bradberry. Excuse me. I think the young D tackle Jordan Davis is going to get an incredible amount of learning curve from Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, Milton Williams. will be a guy who can take Jordan Davis under his wing to pass along information that both Fletcher Cox and Hargrave have taught him, to teach him what it means to be a professional, how to get yourself ready mentally and physically week in and week out. I can't wait to see it come together. And what a great, I hate to use this term, but what a great get ready for what's to come game to start the season against a team like Detroit. Yeah. A team that's rebuilding, a team that has not won much of anything for decades. I don't like to overlook any opponent, but when I look at Detroit, what a great audition, so to speak, for the Eagles to work out a lot of different kinks that they haven't ironed out by the end of training camp.
Yeah, I mean, the early part of the schedule here, which we've covered a good amount, but just to refresh people's memories who may not have it right in front of you, you get Detroit, who, they were really bad last year, although they did play a lot of close games, and that should be accounted for. Minnesota, who's kind of tough to handicap sometimes. They do have a new coach. They have an offensive coach, and when Cousins is hot, it's not like he doesn't have weapons. I mean, you talk about Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. He's got some weapons and Cook.
No question.
There's weapons. So
no question.
I don't know if that's a walkover like some people might think it is. Then you go to Washington and you go and then Jacksonville home. The point is, all four of those teams are starting out with all had losing records. So if you have a team with some new faces like the Eagles do, it looks like a pretty good opportunity to kind of get some rhythm here and get yourself, sort of acclimated to one another.
Well, let me ask you this. Who do you think pressures on more so, Jalen Hurts or Jonathan Gannon?
The pressure's always going to be more on a quarterback than a coordinator. But I think at 100%, we should be looking very closely at Jonathan Gannon now, because it's weird, Derek. He is, it seems at least, universally respected in a very big way around the league, to the point where he was getting job interviews this past year when the Eagles defense was just okay. And you talk to some Eagles fans, they think they were terrible. Their numbers are just okay. They're not terrible, but they weren't great. Yeah, some of that is that you didn't have the personnel. But now, having the kind of personnel that he has, we just went through it, a pass rush, improved linebacking core, big-time improved cornerback situation. They should be a lot better, which should allow him to show all that he has, right? The problem with all of that is we have such tunnel vision when it comes to a quarterback and a head coach that no matter what, we're going to be looking at Jalen Hurts. It's just the nature of the beast. It doesn't matter if it's Jalen Hurts or anybody else playing that position. But the pressure should the fire should be lit under Jonathan Gannon's rear end.
I don't want to see anything close to the defense that Jonathan Gannon came out with in 2021. And we all agreed across the board, maybe he didn't have the personnel to do some of the things that he wanted to do, to play some of the games that he wants to play. We saw at times Fletcher Cox rushing from the outside instead of on the inside. We saw Hargrave move out. I expect to see more of that. I want to see him, the D tackles, move around and not be stationary. We saw Milton Williams playing the outside occasionally. As I said yesterday on this very show, I want to see Nakobe Dean go from inside to outside. I don't think he's just a so-called middle linebacker. I think he's the kind of guy you can move from backer to backer to try to find a weak link, a mismatch, so to speak, for his quickness and his ability to get away from tackles and guards. I expect to see corners coming down in the box. I want to see the safeties come down in the box more. Now that you have Bradberry and Slay on the back end, they should be able to hold it down. I want to see some more single high safety stuff and start moving the chess pieces a lot more to try to get inside a quarterback's head. I'm with you.
One of the things you're looking for is aggression, right? But you got to be smart aggressive. And I think, last year with Gannon, to an extent, Derek, I understand. He didn't look, your front didn't get there enough. He didn't feel good enough about it, sending some of his linebackers because they weren't good enough, and maybe he didn't trust anybody other than Slay. So I get it, where you're not going to be, Buddy Ryan and Jim Johnson in sending the house a lot of times. Understood. But I still think he took it to an extreme too far also with letting quarterbacks bleed him to death. I mean, you remember what Derek Carr did to him at 91% completion percentage. I'm sorry, man. You got to do something to try and counteract that, even if you get beat deep from time to time. I don't want to die that way, this slow, cut. I'll rather be aggressive and see if maybe you can make a play. Now is where we need to see. Look, the one thing that people talk about with him all the time is Jonathan Gannon. He's an adaptable coordinator. He said it himself. I don't necessarily have a system. Okay.
Yeah, he has a philosophy.
He has a philosophy, which means it's going to change week to week. But now, fundamentally, he's got the ability to be a much more creative, aggressive play caller on that side of the ball. Let these guys eat, man. Let them go eat.
You know, what do they say? Hungry dogs need to be fed.
Yeah.
You got some hungry dogs on that defense now. You have some young kids who want to prove that they are worthy of being in the NFL. Two of them come from an incredibly high pedigree college like Georgia. You've got some veterans like Fletcher Cox, who is smart enough to understand this could be a swan song as a Philadelphia Eagle, still wants to stay in the game, still wants to make some money. You got a lot of guys that are still trying to prove it. A TJ Edwards, just because he was here last year doesn't mean he's going to have the extensive playing time this year. So you got a lot of hungry dogs on that defense, man. And hopefully he unleashes the hounds, because anything less than that, he's going to hear about it from this fan base and the media. Yeah,
he is. And look, we had Howie on a week ago. We had Howie Roseman on the show, and it was great talking with him. And you know, sometimes you get a sense from just speaking with someone that A, we're not done making moves, and B, I think they feel like they're going to be a pretty good football team. And that was the vibe I got off of Howie. And granted, you know, he was coming off the afterglow of a pretty strong draft where you got AJ Brown, et cetera. But and we talked about it, Derek, after he jumped off with us, just the sense that something more's coming here, man. And he kind of almost felt like he knew even last week that this deal was probably pretty close.
Yeah, you know, I think he kind of tipped his hand when he agreed with me when I said, you know, are you still looking at things? And he says, you know, we're always trying to improve the team. He always says that, you know, but knowing what I know about Howie Roseman never sits still. If there's any way, shape, or form that he feels he can enhance the product, he's going to do that. And I think this team came away feeling extremely good with what they saw in the field in 2021 at the conclusion of the season. A team that beat teams they were supposed to beat, that got the taste of playoff experience. A lot of young players got playoff experience. It didn't end well for them, but see, that's ingrained in their mind. Even though a recent Super Bowl team took them to the woodshed, that was a valuable learning tool for these young kids on what we need to do to be that so-called Super Bowl team. And so Howie, when he looked at it, look, we need to get better at pass rushing. We need to get better at corner. We need to get better in the trenches. We need to get nastier. So what did he do? He went out and got hungry a young D tackle, young linebacker, a proven corner to go opposite a proven corner, and a hungry young linebacker who was a defensive player of the year in college. What more can you ask for? I mean, simply, what more? What more can you ask for?
And the other thing I would just caution people to, when you go into an offseason with somebody like Howie, who really made his bones working that cap, right? That's where he was able to ascend and climb in the organization.
Right.
I heard a lot of people before the offseason saying, look, they're not going to be able to do anything or very little because they still are pretty cap strapped. Yep. And I always tell people, look, you can not like the moves he made. You can not like him as a GM, and that's all well and good. He always figures out ways to manipulate this cap to where they can wiggle out of jams and be aggressive. And no better example than this offseason so far. I mean, have they been hamstrung by anything? They've been super aggressive, even with all of that.
You know, I have said up until recent years that even last year, Howie did a much better job bringing in free agents than he did drafting players. I can't say that now based on last year's draft and what he's done this year in terms of the draft, not even the free agents, but just the draft alone. He's changed his mindset in terms of neglecting SEC players. Look at the SEC players he has on this roster from last year and this year. He got a couple of players from a championship pedigree team like Georgia to come in here. And so now I think is even keel. You know, keep your fingers crossed. I think is even keel. You know, Howie has elevated his status now in terms of identifying talent, better talent, both in the draft as well as free agency. And you look at what he got in James Bradberry for. If what we're hearing is true, 11 teams wanted him. They narrowed it down to 3 teams. He ends up with the Eagles. Why? Number one, did the Eagles pay him more than anybody else was asking? Mm-hmm. Or did he? I don't know what kind of relationship he has with the Darius Slay or other players on defense. Is it because he feels that this team is about to turn the corner when he looks what's on this roster? We're going to find out when James Bradberry steps to the podium and speaks to the media. But, all of a sudden, they outplayed 10 other teams to get a James Bradberry to come down the pike from New York and play for the Philadelphia Eagles. That's huge kudos to Howie.
No doubt. All right, so a little bit later, Howard Eskin's going to join us. Todd Zalecki's going to join us. Dan Flecko's going to join us. But look who's joining us right now. Once again, he's on the links. The one and only Barrett Brooks playing in Brian Dawkins' charity golf tournament. What's up, B?
What's up, my amigos?
Hey, man, what's the buzz there about the Bradberry signing?
Bro, it's unbelievable, man. You could tell a lot of these old timers are standing back and saying, look, they're trying to win now. They're trying to make it happen. And
yeah.
I mean, once again, Howie doing Howie things. I mean, would you say that they're now they got a top 5 tandem or top 5 cornerbacks in the NFL now?
No question.
Avonte Maddox is one of the. I would say he's not a top 10 type of He's a top 10. I say he's about a top 10 slot corner. So he's developing. He's going to be at that point. So I mean this becomes a game changer.
Yeah.
Now the safety position, you're kind of cool at the safety position now because I mean Epps has been very feasible. He's played more than half a season every year.
Yep.
I think they're ready to compete.
Well, Barrett, I think you hit the nail on the head, man. This is the organization saying we feel like we're a lot closer than some people thought. Maybe this is not just, hey, let's see what happens this year. This is we're going in, man. I mean, you're not making moves like Bradberry. You're not making moves like A.J. Brown, like Kaiser White, being aggressive with a Hassan Reddick signing. If you don't feel like you're a good football team that's got a shot here, I'm not talking about just the division. I'm talking about in the entire conference.
Well, it definitely is. You can come on, you come in. I think the A.J. Brown signing really put things in a perspective that they're going to win now. I think if they hadn't done that, here you go, sweetie. If they hadn't did that, then they wouldn't be going this direction. But signing him really put them in that mindset.
How about this guy, Gunner? He's giving us football analysis and signing autographs at the same time. It's unbelievable. It's
multitasking.
Sometimes I tell you guys, off this show, some people know who I am. It's just dealing with those YouTube personalities, man. You guys put me in my place, man. You definitely put me in a position where, I'm definitely humbled. You're
getting a lot of love for the lid, by the way. They like the bucket hat.
Oh, okay.
The people like it, man. Yeah.
Hey, B. Brooks.
I'm playing with some young guys too. Some young gunners. Young gunners.
What's up, fella?
There they are. What's up, boys?
Yep.
All right. Good luck keeping Barrett in line today is going to be a challenge for you guys. You got your work cut out for you with Big B. All right.
Hey, B. Brooks.
No,
B. Brooks.
They're ringers.
They're ringers. All right. They look like
they're ringers.
Remember when we argued yesterday? You said, "I don't see how he can find the money to get a corner in here," and I said, "Here's what I know about Howie: he never sits still. He's always twitching." And I thought it would be after training camp when the waiver wire, players start hitting the waiver wire. Dude, Howie is good, if not better, than anybody at the league at moving money to get what he wants.
You're absolutely right, man. He's shocked. You could have bought me with a wooden nickel that he was able to get this deal done. Yep. You're talking about $10 million that he found to move around and stay under the cap, sign his rookies, give a couple of his free agent rookies more money than probably any other guy at that position, and still being able to be competitive in the market and go get quality players. Once again, he gets I would say Bradberry is the best corner that was in free agency at this point.
Yeah.
He did it again. He did it again.
No question about it.
No, he did. And I say this all the time about Howie. It's you can love him, hate him, whatever. He is an aggressive guy. He is not a sit on his hands kind of guy and just sort of wish and hope. He's going to go down in flames, or he's going to succeed in skyrocketing. And you're seeing, I think they genuinely took. Obviously, they nobody liked the way 2 years ago went, and Howie said it with us. when we had them on last week. They were embarrassed by that. And they've now set about, since that time, systematically changing the scope of this team. And they made some major moves in the last 2 years, guys, so far.
Major. They've come and they're now out of the basement. And this makes them better better going into the season than Dallas Cowboys. This pick right here makes them better than the Dallas Cowboys. So
that's what I said. I said they had the edge on Dallas in terms of defensive personnel, because even though Dallas played much better defense last year, they played with a bunch of kids that are still learning their way.
Right.
The Eagles are bringing in veterans, a lot of veterans to help get this thing turned around. And, quarterback, I'll still give Dallas the edge in quarterback. But for wide receivers, they have CeeDee Lamb, we have A.J. Brown. They have Michael Gallup, we got Devonta Smith. Mm-hmm. And I think the Eagles' offensive line is better than Dallas's offensive line now.
No, it is.
It is. Dallas's offensive line is a shell of what it was a couple of years ago.
And by the way, altogether linebacker, I think our linebacking core has now reached what is kind of even. Now you have a standout player, you got a stud player in Parsons, but after that,
and Van Der Esch,
I mean, not really. I think we kind of on even playing field now when it comes to that. So I'm ready, man.
Yeah,
Wait, I know you guys got to go to break.
Have fun, brother.
I'll see you out there in a few hours, dude.
Hit him straight, my man.
All right, Rob.
All right.
Have fun, B. All right, talk to you soon, man. I appreciate it. That's Barrett checking in from Penn Oaks, right, Derek? Is that where?
Penn Oaks Golf Course. Yep.
Out Westchester.
Out Westchester. Beautiful golf course. Great group of people who run the course. I got to meet one of the owners.
Nice.
A lot of the workers out there. Just great people, man. Just down to earth people. And they do it first class, man. First class in hospitality, first class in food. I'm all about the food.
Oh, how did I know that somehow the food would be worked in? But hey,
you know what's hilarious? We can get back out there, brother.
What's hilarious? I see all you guys in the comment section, and we appreciate the love and the excitement that you got for this move that the Eagles made, etc. I love that the people in the comment section. And by the way, again, guys, let's hammer the like button today, okay? But they keep track of how many eyeballs are on us right now, and they're counting down. We got to get to 700. We got to get to 600. We got to get to 800. Well, we went over the 700 mark for what it's worth. So people are excited, man. So we're going to keep it rolling. Let's let you get some honey and tea in that throat, man. But we will. I know you're fighting through it.
Hey, just so I'll let you to let you know. For some reason, I'm having laptop issues here. I may have to switch over to my phone. So if I drop out, I'll relatch. All right, bro.
Got you. No worries. All right, we'll get a quick timeout. You get yourself situated, Gunner. Take a breath, and we'll come back. Hey, by the way, 1 o'clock, Todd Zalecki to talk some Phillies. Okay, we keep rolling with the football when we get back. By the way, then after that, 2 o'clock, Howard Eskin, the king himself. We're riding with the king at 2 o'clock. We'll talk some birds. He's down at the NovaCare Complex today. And then at 2:30, Dan Klecko, who played for the Eagles, the Patriots, the Colts, has 3 Super Bowl rings. He's going to join us as well. We are blowing the Eagles out today. But this was a major move with Bradberry. You couple it with everything else they've done. Eagles fans should be over the moon with all this. Quick stoppage. Come back. He's D Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network.